The moment I knew my career was being stolen wasn't when they moved my parking spot to the back lot. It wasn't when my nameplate disappeared from my office door. No, it was at 6:20 on a Tuesday morning when I walked into my office, same time I'd arrived for 19 years, and found a 28-year-old woman sitting behind my desk, feet up on my leather chair, scrolling through my computer files like she owned the place. She looked up, didn't even blink. "Oh hey," she said, popping her gum, "didn't anyone tell you? This is the digital transformation hub now. We're optimizing the space." My name's Gerald Foster. Jerry to most people. I'm 47 years old. Marine Corps veteran, 19 years at First Community Bank. We managed $2.1 billion in assets. Or we did before things went sideways. "Where's my stuff?" I asked. She gestured vaguely toward the door. "Facilities moved it. Basement level, I think." We needed the executive floor for collaborative innovation. Stephanie Walsh, the CEO's niece. Stanford MBA with 0 real-world banking experience, but 180,000 LinkedIn followers where she posted about disrupting traditional finance. Apparently my replacement. I stared at her. She'd already redecorated. My Marine Corps commendation certificates gone. The photo of my unit in Fallujah gone. My client appreciation plaques gone. Replaced with motivational posters that said things like disrupt or die and an LED sign that blinked innovation mode. Right? I said the basement. Oh, and Jerry. She smiled the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "Howard wants to see you at 9. Something about role optimization." Howard, her uncle. Howard Walsh, our CEO, currently experiencing what I can only describe as a corporate midlife crisis. I didn't argue, just turned and walked to the elevator. Found my stuff 10 minutes later in the basement facilities room, flickering fluorescent lights, concrete floors, my desk items thrown into cardboard boxes. My files stacked against a damp wall. My Marine Corps shadow box was sitting in the dumpster outside the building, just sitting there on top of pizza boxes and coffee cups. Like 19 years of service was yesterday's garbage. I picked it up, dusted it off, carried it back inside. That's when I stopped being angry and started getting tactical. Here's what you need to understand about how I got here. Last March, 8 months ago, Howard had a situation. Some compromising photos from a Vegas banking conference leaked, along with questionable expense reports. The board panicked. They needed someone clean, someone clients trusted, to steady the ship while Howard's lawyers handled the mess. They made me acting CFO that same day. Emergency board vote effective immediately. The merger with Atlantic Coast Financial had just been announced in February. Now it was chaos, and they needed someone to keep the regulators happy. There was paperwork, board memos, official notifications. My title got bumped, my signature authority expanded, and I was listed as primary officer on all regulatory filings with the OCC and FDIC. Temporary, they said, just until things settled down. Then in April, right after my appointment, Howard brought in Stephanie. Said we needed to modernize our digital presence and attract millennial customers. She was supposed to handle marketing and social media. That lasted about 2 weeks. By May, she was sitting in executive meetings. By July, she had a sweet title that hadn't existed before, Digital Transformation Director. By October, she had my office, and I was in a basement with boxes of loan files from 1998. Nobody had officially changed my title. Nobody had revoked my acting CFO designation. They just moved me, quietly displaced me like I'd become furniture they didn't want anymore. The basement setup was insulting. A folding table, metal chair, corner of the facilities room that smelled like old paper and failure. My computer monitor sat on a cardboard box because they hadn't even brought down a proper desk. I set up my laptop and started going through files. 19 years of documentation, all backed up and organized exactly the way the Marines taught me. You learn certain things in the Corps. One of them is that when someone's trying to push you out, you don't fight back immediately. You observe, you document, you wait for them to make the mistake they don't know they're making. And I knew Stephanie would make mistakes. She already was. At 9:20, I went upstairs to Howard's office. His assistant waved me in without looking up from her phone. Howard was at his desk, typing on his laptop, wearing a hoodie that probably cost $400. He'd started dressing like a tech founder lately. "Jerry, hey." He gestured to the chair across from him. Didn't look up. "Thanks for being flexible about the office situation." "Flexible?" I repeated. "Yeah. Stephanie needs space for her transformation initiatives. You understand. And honestly, at this stage in your career, you're more valuable as institutional memory than active leadership. You know, like a consultant role, advisory. Institutional memory, that's what you call someone you're trying to make disappear without actually firing them. What about the acting CFO designation? I asked. He waved his hand dismissively. We'll figure that out after the merger closes. Right now, we need energy. Stephanie brings energy, you bring stability. Different skill sets. The OCC filings still list me as primary officer. Details, Jerry. Legal will clean that up, don't worry about it. But I was worrying about it because Howard clearly wasn't. I walked out of his office and went back to my basement corner. Sat down at that folding table, opened a new document on my laptop, and started a file I titled Timeline and Documentation. First entry, April 2024. Stephanie Walsh hired. No banking license, no OCC registration, no CFO approval. I saved it, backed it up to 3 different drives. Then I got back to work. The kind of work Howard thought didn't matter anymore. The kind of work that keeps a bank from collapsing. Stephanie's first major presentation happened 2 weeks after she took my office. She called it an all-hands meeting, mandatory attendance. I sat in the back with my coffee, watching her set up. She had a MacBook covered in startup stickers, a wireless clicker, and enough confidence to fill a stadium. The lights dimmed. Her presentation appeared on the screen, Dynamic Risk Assessment Framework, AI-powered banking for the modern era. I almost choked on my coffee. She clicked to the first slide, a stock photo of a woman in a blazer looking thoughtfully at charts. Traditional risk models are dead, Stephanie announced, pacing the front of the room. We've been operating with outdated frameworks that don't account for real-time market dynamics. So I developed something revolutionary. The next slide showed a flowchart. My flowchart, the liquidity management protocol I'd built in 2009 when regional banks were dropping like flies. The same system that had saved our clients millions during the financial crisis. She'd taken my 52-page operational manual, copied the key diagrams, slapped them into 6 slides with different colors, and added buzzwords like predictive analytics and machine learning integration. This framework, she continued, uses generational intuition combined with algorithmic forecasting to predict market volatility before it happens. Generational intuition. That's what she called 19 years of experience and pattern recognition. Philip Turner, one of the senior partners, leaned forward. This is brilliant. Why didn't we think of this before we did? In 2009, I built it. Philip knew that. He'd been there, but nobody said anything. They just nodded and took notes while Stephanie explained my own system back to me with worse terminology. After the meeting, I went back to my basement corner and added another entry to my documentation file. October 18th, 2024. Stephanie Walsh presents proprietary risk model. Actually, GF liquidity protocol from 2009, repackaged without attribution or understanding of underlying methodology. I attached screenshots of her presentation next to my original documentation, saved it, backed it up. The American Banker ran a piece about her 3 days later. Rising star in community banking brings fresh thinking to traditional institution. I printed it out, added it to my files. Then the really dangerous stuff started. Stephanie decided we needed to modernize our loan portfolio with something she called DeFi lending pools, cryptocurrency, blockchain assets, digital tokens for agricultural futures. She pitched it in an executive meeting. I wasn't invited, but Maxwell Bennett told me about it afterward. Max was 29, one of our junior credit analysts, economics degree from Penn State, actually understood financial instruments. He'd been with us for 4 years, and I'd mentored him through complex commercial deals. He found me in the basement that afternoon, looking worried. Jerry, she wants to convert business loan portfolios into crypto assets, he said quietly. Real portfolios, real money. She's talking about moving $150 million into DeFi protocols. Did she run it by legal? I asked. She said legal departments are why innovation dies. Her exact words. I closed my laptop. Max, are you documenting these meetings? Should I be? Yeah, notes, dates, times, who said what. Keep them somewhere safe. He nodded slowly. Jerry, what's happening here? Stephanie's building a house of cards, I said. And Howard's too busy trying to be cool to notice. Just keep your head down and document everything. The DeFi pitch didn't go through, but only because one of the board members asked how we'd explain cryptocurrency volatility to our 65-year-old agricultural loan customers. Stephanie said we'd educate them on digital asset paradigms. That's when the board member laughed, not with her at her, but Howard backed her up, said we needed to think bigger and embrace disruption. Next came the VR Customer Service Center. Stephanie convinced Howard to spend $180,000 on a metaverse client engagement platform. Said we needed to meet customers in immersive virtual environments because that's where banking was heading. They built it on the third floor. Fancy VR headsets, motion sensors, the whole setup. Stephanie posted a video tour on LinkedIn, got 45,000 views and 200 likes. The VR center sat empty for 4 months. Turns out our customers, mostly farmers and small business owners in their 50s and 60s, preferred meeting actual people in actual offices to discuss their actual money. But the worst part wasn't the wasted money or stupid ideas. It was what Stephanie started doing in June, about 2 months after she got comfortable in her role. She started signing things. Wire transfer authorizations, loan modifications, account closures, all with her signature, her title, her authority. I first noticed it when reviewing routine compliance reports in July, saw her signature on a commercial loan modification, then another, then a dozen more. By August, she was signing everything that crossed her desk: asset transfers, credit line approvals, even contracts with outside vendors. I pulled one up on my screen, stared at her signature on the authorization line right above where it said authorized officer, except she wasn't an authorized officer, not according to the OCC. Not according to the FDIC, not according to any regulatory agency that actually mattered. I called Stanley Cooper. We'd served together in the Marines back when we were both younger and a lot dumber. Now he worked OCC enforcement, Stanley. I said when he picked up, hypothetical question, I hate when you start conversations like that. If someone's signing wire transfer authorizations without being a registered bank officer, what happens? Silence on the line. Then, how many authorizations are we talking about? Hypothetically, maybe 40 or 50 documents over 6 months. Jerry, that's not hypothetical territory. That's federal banking violation territory. Who's signing? I'll let you know if it becomes non-hypothetical, I said and hung up. I went back to my documentation file. Started a new section. Unauthorized signatures, June to November 2024. Every document Stephanie had signed since June, 6 months of unauthorized signatures. It took her 2 months to feel confident enough to sign things. Now she was signing everything. I cross-referenced each document against OCC requirements for bank officers. 90-day designation process, background checks, regulatory approval. Stephanie had none of it. 47 separate documents. When I mapped out all the regulatory violations, I counted over 60 distinct problems. Every trade she'd approved, every contract she'd authorized, every client agreement she'd executed, technically invalid. And we were still in the middle of that $340 million merger with Atlantic Coast Financial. The OCC was reviewing everything. Every signature, every authorization, every officer designation had to be perfect. My name was still on all the official paperwork as acting CFO primary officer, the one with actual authority. Stephanie was signing documents like she owned the place, but legally she was just an employee with a fancy title and zero authority. I saved everything, backed it up, made copies in 3 different places. Then I waited, because I knew something Howard and Stephanie didn't know, something they'd forgotten in their rush to be innovative and disruptive and modern. The house always wins when you're playing with cards you don't own. The breaking point came on a Wednesday afternoon in late November. I was in my basement corner reviewing merger compliance documents when my phone buzzed. LinkedIn message from Diana Grant. Diana's 65, runs a grain elevator operation in Iowa. Tough as nails, sharp as a razor. She'd been our client for 12 years. In all that time, I'd never seen her panic about anything. The message said, "Jerry, call me now." I called. "What the hell is this?" She said instead of hello. No pleasantries with Diana. "What's what?" "I just got a proposal from your new hotshot. Something about tokenized agricultural futures and blockchain grain contracts." 35 pages of word salad that makes 0 sense. And at the bottom, there's an authorization to proceed with implementation. Already signed. My stomach dropped. Signed by who? Stephanie Walsh, Digital Transformation Director, says she's authorized to execute strategic portfolio modifications. Jerry, is this real? Because if it is, I'm pulling my accounts today. Send it to me. Right now, the PDF came through 30 seconds later. I opened it on my laptop. It was worse than I thought. Stephanie had created an entire proposal to convert Diana's grain futures contracts into blockchain-based tokens. Something about creating liquidity events through decentralized commodity frameworks. It would have exposed Diana's operation to massive regulatory risk, potential commodity fraud charges, and could have destroyed her business entirely. And at the bottom, Stephanie's signature on a line that said authorized for implementation. She'd signed it like she had authority to restructure a client's entire business model. Like she could just wave a magic wand and turn grain contracts into digital tokens because she read about blockchain on TechCrunch. I stared at that signature for a long time. Diana, I said, give me 24 hours. Don't do anything yet. 24 hours, Jerry. Then I'm gone. She hung up. I sat there in that basement, fluorescent lights flickering above me, surrounded by boxes of old files. Something shifted inside me. This wasn't about my office anymore. This wasn't about my parking spot or my pride or even my career. This was about Stephanie doing real damage to real people, to clients who trusted us, to a bank that used to mean something, to farmers like Diana who worked their asses off and didn't deserve to get scammed by some Stanford MBA with a blockchain fetish. I opened my secure documentation folder, started going through everything I'd collected over the past 7 months, the March board memo appointing me acting CFO, the OCC filings listing me as primary officer, the regulatory designations showing I was still the authorized bank officer with actual legal authority, every document Stephanie had signed without authorization, every unauthorized wire transfer, every invalid contract, every fake approval. 47 documents, over 60 regulatory violations, all during an active OCC merger review, and now this. A proposal that could destroy a client's livelihood, signed by someone with no legal authority to sign anything more binding than a birthday card. I picked up my phone, called Stanley. I need to know something, I said when he answered. If someone's been signing unauthorized banking documents during an OCC merger review, and those documents create liability for clients, what happens? Jerry, we've had this conversation. That's not hypothetical anymore. That's criminal territory. Wire fraud, bank fraud, potentially RICO if there's a pattern. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm asking you to be ready. Ready for what? For when I light the flare. I hung up and opened a new document, spent the next 4 hours writing what would become the most precisely worded email I'd ever written. No anger, no accusations, no emotion at all. Just facts laid out like evidence in a court case, like a Marine Corps after action report. Cold, clinical, devastating subject. Regulatory compliance inquiry. Officer authority documentation. Immediate review required. I addressed it to Nicole Stevens, our in-house legal counsel. Georgetown law, 12 years of banking law. The kind of lawyer who breaks out in hives when she sees regulatory violations. The kind who would have to act once she saw what was in those attachments. The email was 3 paragraphs, short, surgical, lethal. Paragraph 1 reminded her that I was appointed acting CFO in March, that the appointment was never formally revoked, and that I remained listed as primary officer on all OCC and FDIC filings. Paragraph 2 noted that during the current merger review, all officer designations must be accurate, and that all signatures must come from properly authorized bank officers under penalty of federal law. Paragraph 3 requested immediate clarification on current status of officer designations, specifically regarding any additional authorized officers who may have been added since March without proper regulatory approval. Then I attached everything. The March board memo, the OCC forms showing my designation, the FDIC registration showing no other authorized officers. And then, one by one, every document Stephanie had signed.
47 documents, each time-stamped, each cross-referenced against regulatory requirements she hadn't met.
At the bottom, I added one line, please advise on current compliance status regarding unauthorized signatures during active OCC review period. I saved it as a draft. Didn't send it yet. It was 11:30 p.m. I was still in my basement office, but I wasn't tired. I felt the way I used to feel in the Marines right before a mission. Calm, focused, ready. Like everything was finally clicking into place. I went home, fed my cat, made a sandwich I didn't eat. Then I went to my garage workshop. I'd been building a gun cabinet for the past 4 months. Walnut, dovetail joints, the kind of project that requires patience and precision. The kind of thing where you can't rush or force it. You just have to trust the process and let the work be what it is. I spent 2 hours in that garage, sanding and fitting joints, making sure everything was square and true, not thinking about Stephanie or Howard or the bank, just focusing on the work in front of me, the methodical process of building something that would last. Around 1:30 a.m., I cleaned up my tools, turned off the lights, and went inside. Set my alarm for 4:45 a.m. The email was going to send at 4:47 a.m., early enough to hit inboxes before business hours, early enough that Nicole would see it before anyone could tell her not to look. Before Howard could spin it or Stephanie could delete files or lawyers could start covering tracks, I added 2 more recipients to the draft. The OCZ examiner assigned to our merger review and the compliance officer for Atlantic Coast Financial. 3 people, 3 inboxes. 3 people who would have no choice but to act once they saw what was in those attachments. 3 people whose jobs depended on catching exactly this kind of violation. I read the email one more time, checked every attachment, made sure every link worked and every document was properly labeled and time-stamped. No mistakes, no gaps. No room for anyone to claim this was unclear or ambiguous or misunderstood. No room for Howard to dismiss it as institutional memory whining or Stephanie to brush it off as legacy thinking. Just facts, just documentation. Just the truth about what had been happening for 7 months while everyone was too impressed with LinkedIn followers to notice federal crimes in progress. I hovered my mouse over the schedule send button. Thought about my shadow box in the dumpster, about my office becoming an innovation hub, about 19 years of loyalty repaid with a basement corner and a folding table. Thought about Diana Grant and her business nearly destroyed by a proposal from someone who thought blockchain was magic. Thought about Max and the other junior staff learning that competence didn't matter if you weren't cool enough or young enough or connected enough. I clicked the button. 4:47 a.m. scheduled and locked. Then I went to bed and slept better than I had in months. Because the flare was lit and there was no putting it out, my alarm went off at 6 a.m. I was already awake, made coffee, fed the cat, checked my phone. The email had sent at 4:47 a.m. 3 delivery confirmations. Nicole Stevens opened it at 5:51 a.m. The OCC examiner opened it at 6:03 a.m. The Atlantic Coast compliance officer opened it at 6:15 a.m. I put my phone down and drank my coffee. By 8:45 a.m., my phone started buzzing. Text from Max. Something's happening. Executive floor is chaos. Board members arriving early. I didn't respond. Just finished my coffee and went to my garage. The gun cabinet was almost done. I spent an hour working on the final panel, getting the joints fitted perfectly. My phone kept buzzing. I ignored it. Around 10 a.m., Stanley called. Jerry, what did you do? Sent some documentation to legal. There's an OCC emergency review. They've frozen all merger activity pending verification of authorized officers. The whole bank is locked down. Nobody can execute wires until this gets sorted. I adjusted a clamp on the cabinet. That's interesting. Interesting? Jerry, nobody can execute transactions. The merger's suspended indefinitely. Board members are losing their minds. What exactly did you send? Just the facts. Stanley. Just the facts. He was quiet for a moment. Your documentation was clean. Immaculate, every I dotted, every T crossed. Good, because they're going to need it to be. This is going to get ugly fast, he hung up. I went back to my gun cabinet. Applied wood finish to the joints. Set it aside to cure. My phone rang again. Howard's assistant. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again and again. Finally, Nicole called. I answered that one. Jerry, I need you to come in, now. I'm working from home today. Jerry, this isn't optional. We have a serious legal situation, and I need you here in 30 minutes. What kind of situation? The kind where the OCC is asking why we have unauthorized bank officers signing documents during a merger review. The kind where FDIC wants to know who's been executing wire transfers without proper designation. The kind where our merger partner is talking about pulling out completely. Sounds serious. Silence on the line. Then, did you know about this? About what? About Stephanie signing documents without authority. I knew she'd been signing things. Didn't seem like my place to say anything. I'm just institutional memory, remember? Advisory role. More silence. Then, get here now. I drove to the bank, took my time, arrived around 11:30 a.m. The executive floor looked like a disaster zone. Board members on phones, voices raised, lawyers moving between offices with stacks of papers. Howard's door was closed, but I could hear shouting from inside. Max found me in the hallway. "Jerry, they've been looking for you all morning." Nicole's been in Howard's office since 8 a.m. Atlantic Coast, sent a team of lawyers. It's bad. How bad? Diana Grant closed all her accounts. So did Henderson Farms and Morrison Agribusiness. That's $85 million walking out the door in one morning. And Atlantic Coast is talking about terminating the deal completely. I nodded. "Where's Stephanie?" "Haven't seen her since yesterday afternoon. Security cleared out her office this morning. Took her computer, her files, everything." Nicole's door opened. She saw me and pointed. "Jerry, in here now." I followed her into her office. She closed the door, turned to face me. I saw something I'd never seen before. Nicole Stevens looked scared. "How long have you known?" She asked. "About what specifically?" "Don't play games. Stephanie's been signing documents for 7 months without proper authorization during an active OCC review. You had to have known. I noticed some irregularities, started documenting them in July. I figured the people being paid to catch these things would catch these things." She stared at me. "The OCC wants a full audit. FDIC is opening an investigation. Atlantic Coast is pulling out. Do you understand what you've done? I sent documentation to the appropriate parties about a compliance issue. That's what you're supposed to do with compliance issues. You destroyed this bank." "No," I said quietly. "Stephanie destroyed this bank. Howard let her. I just documented it." Nicole sat down at her desk, put her head in her hands. "She's finished. You know that, right? OCC is going to ban her from the industry, probably fine her personally. And Howard," she looked up, "Howard's going to have to resign. The board won't have a choice. What about the clients? What about the farmers and small business owners who trusted us? What about Diana Grant, who almost lost everything because someone with no authority decided to play with blockchain toys?" Nicole didn't answer. I walked out of her office, took the elevator down to the basement, grabbed my personal items, my laptop, my files, my shadow box, left everything else. On my way out, I passed the Digital Transformation Hub, Stephanie's office. The door was open, the room was empty, her laptop was gone. The LED Innovation Mode sign was dark. Max caught up with me in the parking lot. "Jerry, where are you going?" "Home. I'm done here. What about your job?" "What job?" "I've been working in a basement for 7 months with no actual authority. I'm pretty sure that job doesn't exist anymore." He looked panicked. "What should I do?" "Document everything. Keep your head down. Start looking for other opportunities." "Will you give me a reference?" I stopped, looked at him. "Yeah, I will." "You're good at what you do, Max. Don't let this place make you forget that." Over the next 3 weeks, the story came out in pieces. Stephanie had her access revoked the same day I sent the email. Security walked her out around 3 p.m. while I was in Nicole's office. Howard announced his resignation 8 days later, pursuing other interests, the press release said. Translation: forced out before the federal investigations really got started. The OCC opened a formal investigation. Stephanie got hit with an 18-month ban from the banking industry and a $125,000 personal fine. The board made her return her $280,000 signing bonus. I heard through the grapevine she was working at a car dealership in Phoenix. Her LinkedIn was still up, but she'd deleted all the posts, all the disruption talk, all the innovation selfies, just gone. 4 firms called me within 2 weeks, all wanting to know if I was available. The 4th call was from a veteran-owned financial firm in Colorado. They offered me chief risk officer, $465,000 base salary plus equity, about 35% more than I'd been making as senior director. And this wasn't temporary. This was permanent. I took the job. Max put in his notice the same day and came with me. Said he wanted to learn from someone who actually knew how to do the work. The industry started calling me the compliance guardian after word got around. I didn't encourage it, but I didn't stop it either. 3 months after I started the new job, American Banker ran a follow-up piece. The CFO who exposed a $340 million banking fraud. They called Stephanie's mess fraud. I never used that word, but technically, signing documents without authority during an OCC review. Yeah, that's federal crime territory. On a Saturday morning in February, I'm in my garage workshop applying the final coat of finish to that gun cabinet. It's solid, Square, built to last. My phone rings. Stanley. Jerry, I've been meaning to tell you, your documentation on that case was immaculate. You should have been a lawyer. I run my hand along the smooth walnut. Nah, I just build things that don't fall apart. Well, whatever you built there, it worked. Whole bank nearly collapsed in 48 hours. It was already collapsing, Stanley. I just documented it. I hang up and step back to look at the gun cabinet. It'll hold a lot of weight. Last for decades if you take care of it. On the wall above my workbench is my Marine Corps shadow box, the one I found in the dumpster that morning. I cleaned it up, had it remounted, hung it where I can see it while I work. There's a phrase engraved at the bottom, Semper Fidelis, always faithful. It's about service, about loyalty to something bigger than yourself. I wasn't trying to destroy Stephanie or Howard or the bank. I was just protecting what I'd helped build. 19 years of work, thousands of clients who trusted us, a system that actually functioned when people did their jobs right. They wanted to replace all that with buzzwords and TikTok videos and blockchain schemes. I just reminded them what the foundation was actually built on. I pour a glass of bourbon, Woodford Reserve, the good stuff, hold it up to the light. Don't drink it yet, just look at it. 19 years I gave that place. They threw me in a basement and called me institutional memory, outdated thinking, legacy burden. Now I'm the compliance guardian, making more money, building better systems, teaching the next generation how to do it right. I take a sip, taste like victory. Tomorrow I start training 3 new veteran hires at the Colorado firm, building the next generation of compliance guardians, teaching them that precision beats flash, that documentation trumps disruption, that sometimes the old ways work because they actually work. The work continues. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's getting better. They tried to bury me, but forgot I was a Marine who knows how to dig out and build back stronger. In the end, institutions survive not because of the disruptors who tear them down, but because of the guardians who know when to speak up. Truth always wins, but only if someone has the courage to document it.